Our guest today is the Chief Information Officer of the Chicago Public Schools. He earned his bachelor's degree in economics at Harvard and is a graduate of the Kellogg School of Management at Northwestern University. Our guest and his wife, Diana, are the proud parents of 3 daughters who all attend schools in the Chicago public school system. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the Chief Information Officer of the Chicago Public Schools, Bob Runcie. Bob, thank you very much. Thank you. Robert, it's all yours, and you'll handle the questions.
I have no idea. Seriously, thanks to all of you for coming and being great supporters. And thanks to Jay and City Club for giving me this opportunity to speak at one of the great forums in this city. I was recently told by one of my staff that discussing technology after a fine meal like this can lead to indigestion. So what I'm going to do is try to make this as painless as possible for everyone. My focus is not on technology. Technology by itself, to me, has no real value. An important truth about technology is that what matters most is what you actually do with technology, so what you make of the possibilities. Our mission in the Office of Technology Services at CPS is to use technology to support our 3 core strategies: literacy, human capital, and creating and expanding our learning opportunities. We look at ways to also use technology to improve our operations and reduce our operating costs. We're constantly looking for the best way to deliver the greatest return on our taxpayers' investment. Technology enables us to manage 48,000 employees and over 430,000 students. It would be a nightmare to do this without technological tools at our disposal, as you can imagine. Since 1995, we have spent and invested over $500 million to build and maintain a network infrastructure that provides our 600 schools with internet access. More than 75,000 computers in our schools take advantage of our network services. We support over 40,000 email accounts for all our principals, teachers, and educational support staff. And finally, we have about 17,000 Centrex lines that we use to provide telecommunications services throughout the district. So the net of it is we've built a solid foundation from which to support our core strategies. Now, if you read the front page of the Tribune about 10 days ago, you'd think we haven't made any progress. There was a big story about some of the management challenges facing the E-rate program, which is a federal program to bring technology into America's schools. And, I can tell you when I first started at the Chicago Public Schools, it was a little difficult to figure out this program. It's fairly complex, and so I can understand how, the challenges the reporters had in terms of really trying to present the facts. So I'm going to try to give you an overview of the real E-rate story and how the program works. First, E-rate is a program, it's a program where on your phone bill, you'll see a charge is about 9%, and that money goes to school districts like Chicago to provide wiring, telecommunications, and internet access. It is not a grant program. They don't send money and we put it in an account, and then if we don't use it, we send it back. It's really a matching subsidy program. The school district must match these funds. For example, if we want $5 million from the federal E-rate program, we may have to put up $10 million of our own money in order to actually use that. So, a way to look at it is if I offered you $5 million towards the purchase of a $10 million house, how many of you can come up with the $5 million difference? Kind of difficult, right? So our position to E-rate is very similar. It's no different. We don't have enough money to take advantage of all the matching funds that are available in the marketplace under E-rate. No one does. So the implication that we left $50 million on the table is not totally accurate. We apply for what we can afford to match, and we have to pay for many other things that are not eligible for E-rate subsidies. In fact, one of the largest expenditures is for electrical power upgrades, and these aren't eligible for E-rate subsidies at all. When I first came to the Chicago Public Schools, I was looking at one of our E-rate land wiring projects, and the wiring piece of it was probably around $6 million. The electrical portion of it, which is you get no subsidies for it, was over $20 million. So there's a huge cost differential. So that really is a big challenge for us, especially when we're dealing with a lot of older buildings that are 75 to 100 years old. It's very costly upgrades. But in total, we've spent over $600 million on E-rate, but approximately $400 million of the 600 has come from the taxpayers. The other $200 million has come from the federal government. So we've put a lot of skin in the game. So here's where the digital divide comes in. Chicago doesn't have sufficient matching funds to take advantage of all the E-rate dollars that are available to us. And this is in part because of a state funding system for education that relies too heavily on local property taxes. And it's outrageous to me that we can tolerate such huge inequities in education spending in this state. Chicago's basic education spending is about $5,200 per pupil. Some of our suburban counterparts are spending around $17,000 per pupil. You know, that's over 300% differential. I mean, that's a huge, huge difference. So wealthier school districts, they have more access to technology because they simply have more money. So because of our limited funding, we've had to make trade-offs among replacing broken boilers in the dead of winter, fixing leaking roofs, removing asbestos, building new schools, and spending on E-rate related technology projects. But despite these limitations, we've done very well. Today, more than 90% of our high school classrooms, computer labs, and libraries have internet access, as well as 80% of our elementary schools. And the job's not done, and we're continuing to work on that. So we've got a total of over 18,000 classrooms, libraries, and labs which are connected to the internet. Just give you some ideas in terms of what we can do with our infrastructure at this point. On a typical day, we average about 40,000 concurrent connections to the internet and about 2,000 web pages per second. Since one of our core strategies is literacy, let me provide you with a relevant performance benchmark. During peak times, our system can download 4 copies of the complete works of William Shakespeare in 1 second. Our kids can't read that fast, but we're working on it. Now the story that was in the paper talked about some problems with the program, which first began in 1998, and I can tell you there absolutely were some programs. Were some problems within the program at that time. I wasn't here, but my understanding is that many schools were applying for E-rate individually, and you can imagine under that scenario where we've got several hundred schools applying individually, there was some overlap and there was some waste. And this was a common problem all across the country and faced many districts. But today we've cleaned up our situation, and our service providers, as well as us, we submit to periodic audits and reports by certified independent auditors, and our service providers undergo training. We've also put in extensive project management methodologies and approaches to handle our program. So by the end of this year, all our schools will be linked to the internet, which is quite an accomplishment when you consider the size of the district in a short period of time. So while E-rate has given us the opportunity to put technology in our schools, more importantly is, what are we doing with that technology? We have students at both elementary and high schools who are enrolled in distance learning programs. which are courses and classes we make available over the internet. We have other students who are taking classes via video conferencing. We have high schools who are pairing up, and they have joint Latin courses which they're sharing through video conferencing. At the high school level, we have kids who are taking online courses in oceanography, AP Calculus through the Illinois Virtual High School program. We're also using Virtual High School program as an option for students in schools required to provide choice under the No Child Left Behind Act. We've been using Virtual High School to assist parents who need to be near their babies. These students are at risk of dropping out. Some of the students simply do better in alternative learning environments. Over the weekend, I had a discussion with a friend who indicated that there are a good number of children who actually work during the day to help support their families and cannot attend school during our traditional hours. Distance learning and virtual high school are programs that allow us to think outside the box and find alternative ways to accommodate these children and their families. Our virtual high school students, most of whom are low income and minority, posted the highest completion rate of any online school program in the state. This year, we expect over 2,000 of our students to enroll in the Illinois Virtual High School. Through the Step Up program, which is a program for incoming high school freshmen, students use an internet-based program called Cognitive Tutor over the summer. As a result, the passing rate for those incoming freshmen on algebra rose to 89%. Our biggest asset at CPS and in virtually every corporation is our people. So we're also doing professional development for our teachers in basic skills for technology and how they will actually use technology in a classroom. We develop online literacy assessments for both teachers and students. Our teachers also have access to a fairly extensive program called Teach to the Future, which they can use to create online curriculum and integrate technology into classroom projects. And of course, we're able to communicate with our teachers, and they're able to collaborate with each other through email. So today, in general, we see that technology and the internet can be valuable tools for success in our schools. And it's our job to give our teachers and our students those tools and ensure that they have access to it and that they know how to use it. Our students will not be caught in the digital divide. We just won't let that happen. In addition to using technology to directly affect student learning and expand our teacher skills, new technology allows us to better gather and analyze information about our schools. Accountability policies such as No Child Left Behind demand access to more transparent and accurate data about every aspect of the educational process. From the U.S. Department of Education to our classroom teachers, getting the right data at the right time can play an important and critical role in effective decision making. This is why our highest priority initiative is to replace our aging student information system, which was built in the late 1960s. That's correct, you heard that right, the late 1960s. Many of you were not even born then. Today, there's no single database where we can get a student's health records, attendance, grades, test scores, history of transfers, personalized lesson plans, and relevant family information that may be useful if a child is experiencing learning problems that will interfere with learning. When a child walks into a classroom in the fall, that teacher should not be looking at a blank slate. She ought to have every important piece of information that is available in their hand so that she can develop a meaningful relationship with that child. This should be true for substitute teachers when they walk into a room as well. The new student information system, which is called Impact, will give our teachers the tools that they need to improve student performance. The new system will include real-time daily attendance, grade reporting, online lesson plans, support for instructional strategies, and student behavior and issues tracking. So there's going to be a full gamut of capabilities that will really pull us into the 21st century and out of 1960. Finally, the system will include an integrated, individualized educational program that will support the transformation of the way we provide specialized services which are delivered to 58,000 students who are classified as special needs children. All of our 600 schools will be up and running on the new system by the first quarter of 2006. So those are some of the highlights of our Student Information System Replacement Project. Another key initiative for us is to provide service and maintenance to the 75,000 computers I mentioned to you, which are in our system. Right now, many of our schools use an ad hoc assortment of principals, assistant principals, teachers, parents, vendors, and volunteers to maintain computers in their schools. If we don't do this in a centralized and organized way, we are negatively impacting our schools and their ability to focus their limited resources on instruction. So therefore, we're launching a district-wide program that will include comprehensive, high-quality computer support services. We'll also incorporate our new Tech Crew program. Tech Crew, by the way, is a student-centered program with more than 100 students who are trained in both soft skills and technical skills, who will help create and manage a school-based help desk program in our high schools. Students earn real job skills, and of course, the system benefits from their support. The performance of the U.S. men's basketball team at the Summer Olympic Games demonstrates that you can put the best people together, but if they don't have the right chemistry, there's no guarantee of success. So there's no question that the Chicago Public Schools is well positioned to win the gold medal for the best urban school system in the United States. We have the best management team, and most importantly, we've got great chemistry. Our CEO, Arnie Duncan, and our Chief Education Officer, Barbara Easton-Watkins, have a relentless and passionate commitment to ensure that the children in this city receive the best education possible. Our Chief Administrative Officer, David Vitale, is one of the sharpest business persons I've ever worked with, and he demonstrates his commitment every day when he walks in. As many of you know, he's the most underpaid executive in Chicago, working for $1 a year. Finally, we're fortunate to have a mayor, which I know is focused on education and sincerely wants what every parent in this city wants for their child, a quality education. To be successful in this job, I need to work with our leadership. I need to work with our educational and operational departments. I need to understand the needs and challenges of our schools, our principals, our teachers and students. I need to manage projects, and we need to run IT operations. And since it's not possible for me to do all that by myself, my number one priority and focus is to get the right people, get great people with whom I can share these responsibilities. So I am supported by a management team with some of the hardest working and committed people I've ever worked with. Most of them work 60 to 70 hours and more every week, day in, day out, delivering. So I'd like to take a moment and just borrow a page from Jay and recognize some of the members of my staff who are here. First person I'm going to introduce is responsible for working with our educators and helping them to integrate technology in the curriculum, our Chief Officer of E-Learning, Charnel Jackson. Charnel. She is the high energy and very skilled program manager for our highest priority initiative, our Student Information System project, Gretchen Olson. All right. He manages a team that maintains our legacy financial systems, our payroll and student information system, the core backbone systems that we need to run on today. And that gentleman's name is Clarence Rogers. Clarence, where are you? There he is. So while Clarence is maintaining a legacy system, this gentleman is maintaining and is hard at work at our new financial systems, which are being put in. Prasad and the team. Tony McPherson is at a conference today, but he's responsible for providing computer support and launching our managed services program for the 75,000 computers I mentioned to you. This next gentleman is our lead technology architect and is a relentless negotiator, as many vendors know, Steve Dorner. Reporting to Steve are three people. Ed Wagner, who runs our WAN services. Ed. Delois Mix, who's in charge of our data center operations. And Katie Zalewski, who heads our telecom. She recently had a baby, so I'm not sure if she's not here today, but that's... This next person manages the development of our website, provides web hosting to our schools, and custom application development and support for various departments, Tracy Clark. He is responsible for cleaning up our data and getting some discipline around our management of data, our enterprise data management director, Mike Patterson. Since I spent a lot of time talking about E-rate today, you definitely want to know who's kind of running that area for us. And I consider her to be one of the most knowledgeable persons in the country on E-rate, Jane Cradaville. All of our vendors knows this individual because she's responsible for cutting your checks. She just completed a 20-mile run last weekend, and she's going to run in the Chicago Marathon, Ramona Wadwa. This gentleman heads up our Enterprise Project Management Office, Chris Grant. Hey, Chris. He is responsible for ensuring that we always get the right message out, our communications director, Tom Goodwin. This gentleman runs a lot of special projects for us. He's moving on to run a new department, School and Demographics, on October 1st, but it's been with our team for a while. Jim Dispenza. Last but not least, this is a person that keeps my days organized and would be absolutely indispensable, my executive assistant, Maribel Durant. And this is the last one. This next person is, I would say, is my best friend, trusted advisor, and biggest supporter, my lovely wife, Diana. I know you're out here somewhere. I believe our society is ultimately judged not by the size of our gross national product, not by our military strength, but by how well we treat our least fortunate citizens. Millions of families come to this country to pursue the American dream of boundless opportunities, and the ladder that they use to reach those dreams is the education system. In 1867, the great U.S. educator, Horace Mann, wrote a historic piece titled "The Importance of a Universal, Free, and Public Education." In it, he states that education, beyond all other devices of human origin, is the great equalizer of the conditions of men, the balance wheel of social machinery. My parents came to this country with no formal education. The only assets they possessed was their work ethic and value system. They never heard of Horace Mann, but they shared the same beliefs and value of education. My personal experiences have confirmed my conviction that the public school systems are our most important institution in this country. I not only work for the Chicago Public School, but as Jay mentioned, I'm also a customer. I have 3 daughters in the Chicago Public Schools. You know, life is not a 2-for-1 free throw. You don't get a second shot if you screw up. You only get one chance to take advantage of unique opportunities. I feel very fortunate to be in a position to help our educators develop our children and give them the same opportunities that I had. The most valuable thing that we all have is time, and I want to thank you for giving me some of yours today. Thank you.
I'll tell is Barbara Easton Watkins here?
Yeah, she's over there.
Oh, good. Is she there? Bob has graciously said he'd take some questions, so if you want to go to the microphone, just state your name and answer the question. And I didn't realize she came in, but the Chief Education Officer, Barbara Easton Watkins, is a great supporter, and I want to thank her for coming and acknowledge her. Barbara, thank you, thank you, thank you. I thought you were going to sit over here. Okay, thank you so much, and congratulations. Questions?
Only easy questions, please.
Maybe you answered them all.
Yeah.
Any questions? All right.
The question is, what other initiatives are we working on to potentially generate more revenue? And that relates back to the per pupil spending of about $5,200. What are we doing to generate more money for the schools? Well, I know that Arnie and a number of the leadership team have been working very closely with our state legislatures and other business executives to really press and make the case to provide equity, not just in Chicago, but I mean throughout the whole state. The mayor has actually been working with a team of mayors around the state, and they face some of the same challenges. So, you know, they're working to collaborate and make the case to the folks down in Springfield that we need to bring more equity to this situation. After money, what would be our biggest challenge in reaching our technology goals as we stated? I think that the biggest thing I think is execution and ensuring that, one, we're able to implement and complete the projects we have with the limited dollars that we do have. Number two, to ensure that we're working on the right things and that they're aligned with our core strategies and that there's a lot of discipline with in the organization to do that, and that there's focus. And, you know, as I always tell folks, every day I go in the office, I can certainly find another 5 or 6 projects to work on. But if we do that, we'll never get anything done. So, you know, to have a strong focus and alignment with our core strategies is critical for our success.
How does your responsibility relate to Renaissance 2010?
How do our responsibilities in the Office of Technology Services relate to one of our strategic initiatives, Renaissance 2010? Gosh, with Renaissance 2010, as many of you know, we're going to be opening probably another 100 or so schools. Those schools need a lot of support from a technology standpoint, from the infrastructure. I mentioned also that we are putting in tools to help our teachers to better manage the instructional and the curriculum aspects of the school. So it's really providing the tools and support services to all of those new schools that are opening to in a way, reduce the paperwork, reduce the administrative burden, ensure that they've got good quality data on their students so they can make the necessary interventions to be successful. Any?
I don't really have a question,
Okay.
but I would like to acknowledge the huge contribution you've made toward leveling the playing field for small technology firms like us. You've done a great job.
Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. Thanks. Norma wanted to congratulate me for the job that I was doing in terms of trying to level the playing field. for all of the vendors and partners that work with the Chicago Public Schools. And I certainly believe in diversity in our vendor and partner base, not just in the racial composition of the companies, but also in the size of the businesses that we work with, from small businesses to large, to women-owned businesses. So I think we get a lot of quality and good ideas from having a good, diverse base of partners to work with. Any other questions? All right. Thanks. All right.